Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our kickoff little event for the 5.0 release, the UE5 version of Futureport 82. So glad to have all of you here. First off, just want to make sure my audio levels are okay. My headset is behaving a little weird, so hopefully the balance will be pretty much okay. Let me know in the chat otherwise. So yeah, why don't we get started? I'm hoping that we're not going to be plagued by some of the tech issues that we have had for some of our previous streams. We're going to see how this one goes and pretty much hope for the best. All right, let's kick off the project and get in there. All right, let's share this and hopefully, just give me 1 second, it's just getting kicked off. Just gonna hang on for 1 second. Looks like it may not be. There we go. Sorry about that. Just need to actually select that. Just gonna tweak the audio settings a little bit. Cool. You should be able to hear inside the project right now. Cool. All right. No worries. I can bump that up just a little bit. Let me know if I'm blowing anything out. Hopefully I won't. This is the first time I've really had two screens, so hopefully the balance between these will be pretty much okay. Yeah, that sounds like it's going all right. Cool. All right. And yeah, so welcome in. Great. Thank you all for the feedback. Appreciate that. So yeah, we're just gonna keep this super chill. If you have any questions, anything, feel free to put it in the chat. I'll be reviewing as we wander around. Otherwise, it's gonna be pretty chill. So yeah, we'll go through some of the maybe menu settings later. Why don't we just get into this? So we're going to enter on in. For this one, I'm probably just going to keep it in that early morning 8 a.m. session with partly cloudy. Right now, show enhanced features, maybe we'll toggle that on a little bit later, but let's just get in. One of the things I really love about this versus the UE4 version is that this should only take, even while I'm streaming, which is a bit of a strain on the machine, that took what, like 5 seconds to get in. I've actually been using the UE4 version just to test various things out, and it's a good 45 seconds to 60 seconds just to get in. Plus, that was like 10 gigs. This is a whole lot lower, which is really nice. So, welcome on in. Canonically, this is set on September 7th, so really the Labor Day preview day, as that really allows me to get away with not having built everything out and having a little bit of a plausible excuse around that. So let's keep walking. Again, any questions, feel free to hit me up in the chat. So this is our first audio. I'm going to, especially if you have headphones on, try to pan around and really see if we get that 3D audio kind of effect going on. I'm also going to try to go as slowly as I possibly can, just so I don't make anyone motion sick while I'm moving around. Beautiful sight. Cool. So yeah, we're going to start with just the day. I'm going to probably talk about various bits of total minutia that I really either find interesting or put a lot of work into, because obviously that's what I spend all my time on. So one of the big things that I spent a good 6 to 8 hours on last week, and it sounds so silly, is basically just the concrete expansion joints. Right around this corner. It definitely took a long while, but this used to all just be a single flat bit of that darker concrete. Yeah, honestly, not sure, Gmail. It's entirely possible it is. This used to work better on my headset. Now it's just getting a little weird. So hopefully you can reasonably hear what it sounds like. But yeah, these expansion joints, building it out in the corner, it's just a lot of manual effort. But I think it's you know, it makes sense even if you're not really paying attention to it. So in this area, for the first time, we're really hearing the new F-mod audio system, where I tried to really strike a balance, and I'll kind of do this as I'm walking around, tried to strike a balance between having really that 3D audio effect, while, yeah, so the 3D audio effect while also having like full coverage over everything. It's definitely something that I'm going to be tweaking, and even I basically pulled the final version of this 2 or 3 nights ago saying, this is uploaded to Google Drive, it's completely ready to go, I'm not going to touch anything, but I was discovering some bigger and bigger issues with the audio. So last night I think I finally solved more or less the biggest ones of them, at least for right now. So hopefully the audio will work well for you, because the work they put into all the audio around the park was just incredible on opening. So I'm really glad you'll get to experience that. These dark blue walls were also a really late addition last week. It used to all just be the lighter and the slightly darker, like we see a little bit over to the right. But, we have this area that was for a tour desk. Hey, Epcot Finder. It's like a group sales tour desk thing, but otherwise really doesn't have any purpose. When we get into actually getting the people mover back into this, hopefully in the next version, this is where I decided to put the entrance, just because it is always kind of a weird dead spot. So let's wander over, and you'll hear some of the other 3D audio effect very, very shortly. There we go. So I had no idea what the lighting actually was supposed to be like around here, which you definitely see at night. That's why I added these little cut-ins in 8 spots around this just a few days ago, because I wanted to have some actual logical source of where the light would be coming from. We'll talk more about night lighting a little bit later. And hopefully anyone else on Earth finds this as interesting as I do. The miscellaneous minutia behind it, but I feel it's good. Stuff that doesn't really go well into like a tweet or something. Thanks, Jamil. Yeah, I was pretty happy about it. Yeah, Kato, that took quite a lot of effort to kind of do that. Now, what you're hearing in the background, unfortunately, is I am getting some crackling in one of the audio tracks, and even if it should be, in an area where it isn't clipping, it's still causing a little bit of an issue. That's a known bug I'm going to work on for the next version. And of course, I can't actually miss the big parts, which is our giant ball. Looking beautiful, even in the daylight. Obviously it looks really, really nice at night as well. So these reflections, there's actually a way that I can toggle these. The problem is there's a really, really big performance impact. I think I'm really still working on making what we call the lumen reflections look better. Right now they kind of don't, but I decided that the extra, 5 or 10 frames per second was worth this not looking quite as good as it could otherwise. So Gateway Gifts and Camera Center are both extremely sparse right now. This is pretty much all we have, because that's all we have for the source material as of, September 7th or thereabouts. I'm hoping as we actually maybe find more materials, I can build this out a little bit more. Thanks, Jason. Appreciate it. Yeah, very, very happy to be on release day. And thank you again all so much for joining me here. We have Spaceship Earth. I actually don't have trees on now, but you will see foliage and whatnot right in this area. You know what, let's do a little bit of a queue run, because this is always fun. I should probably expand the rest of the queue, but, for now, just to give you the experience of those early morning lines on Spaceship Earth back in the 80s. Is that even now? Are there still lines, like, for Spaceship Earth first thing in the morning? Or does everyone just beeline it for Guardians and Soarin'? I'd be curious. Alright, so, yeah, exactly. No magic bands, no fast pass, you just show up and wait. But luckily, everything is huge capacity, so it shouldn't be that bad. Yep, Jason, I did remember, in fact, to get the telephones in. Very exciting. So Epcot Finder brings up a really good point there, which is, so right now, because it is on a pretty advanced game engine, let me point to something more attractive than this fence. There's the ball while I talk. Because it is a big game engine that's really complicated, it does require a little bit more of a heftier machine, although you're welcome to just give it a try. I don't get the feeling my parents are exactly running an RTX, 40 series at this point, and they said they were able to get in, so that was awesome. Really glad to hear. So definitely give it a shot. I mean, that's the great thing about a free project. You can just give it a try. But in terms of the lower end, we're hopefully going to be able to do other things with, there's that crackling again. Hopefully we're going to be able to do other things with the lower end. So whether it's go back to 360.futureport.com, So that more like even mobile phone-based 360 experience, or just more videos and whatnot that we can really have, which would be really nice to have. So stay tuned on that. I've also had interest from someone on Twitter who may be making just some short videos around stuff as well, which would be really great. Exactly, Epcot Finder, which is there was a type of graphics card that just was not working well on the older UE4 version that actually is working fine now. So shout out to Epic for continuing to put in the work. Big sip of coffee because it's still only 9 a.m. over here on the other side of the world. We're going to hop in and take a look at our Earth station. So one of the really, really big, not regrets, because ultimately it's not really my fault, one of the really big issues that we have is that in the current version of Unreal Engine 5, it unfortunately does not allow you to play video in some ways. It took me a bunch of hours just to get the video playing here. And also, it's desynced again, so that's a bug that I'm currently having. This is the land audio and the seas video. Now it's something I need to go back and fix. But anyway, because all the video isn't working, all that work I did in Project Odyssey to get the world key, unfortunately, is not operative. Whenever the new 5.1 version of Unreal comes out, that's going to be one of the very first things I can update, so you can actually use with the source video straight from the Laserdisc, actually get into the world key itself. Right now, not quite available. Kaito, I tried to put everything I possibly could in here. What's really funny with the Earth Station video is that, as you can see, the flags that they added at a later point were just caught by the video, and every once in a while a dude's head will go by, which is a little annoying and probably not the most realistic, but, you know, there it is. There's our friend. Oh, there we go. How realistic. So if anyone is an animator who really wants to recreate the 4 minutes or so, please hit me up. So yeah, Grayson, let's talk about some of the other versions, and I'll also, let's just point out back into the Communicore Plaza a little bit. There's the audio. Okay. Yeah, so right now, you can really only package for the platform that you're currently on. So because I'm on Windows, I can only really package for Windows. I've definitely had some interest from some Mac users who may be taking a look at it. The problem is that when I've tried to do this before, it's not as easy as just clicking package for Mac. Hey, hit me up, maker. Yeah, you know, it's not as easy just clicking package. You actually need to have some Unreal knowledge. And I have an older, you know, like work cast off 2014 MacBook Pro, but, you know, 2014 doesn't work so great at Unreal at this point. But we'll see if someone will be able to get that working. I have a couple of things I'm pursuing there. All right. Cool, Jason. Yeah, definitely keep me apprised on how all that is going. We are going to get a little bit of a slowdown here for a few seconds, because that is where we are now loading in Future World East and West, which you can see over there. All right, so yeah, welcome to Communicore Plaza. I know I mention this every live stream, but I still continue to find it interesting. This, right about here, right in front of the screen, is the 000 mark of the system. So this is where you can see the line from Horizons to Land. This is where you have the north-south line. This is pretty much the dead center of Future World. Why don't we head, you know what, let's head into Communicore now. I think that'll be fun. I'll walk sideways so we can take a look at Stargate as we go. Now, hopefully the audio transitions will work well in this area, just because of how condensed it is, and it's where a couple of different audio sources meet. Maybe a little bit of a dead zone, but otherwise, hopefully it'll transition nicely. There we go. Absolutely love the work they did on the Communicore signs. I would love to see something like this back, even if it's just recreated for the new, you know, the new, whatever they're calling, the new plaza that replaces where Communicore West South is. Rides are not done yet, but the World of Motion in terms of core stuff is mostly done. we have a lot of work to do in audio animatronics, and that's not my area, so I'm kind of having to rely on other people to be able to get me over the line there. Living with the Land is actually doing, sorry, Listen to the Land, excuse me, is doing pretty well. I have a lot and a lot and a lot of work to do on actually getting the vegetation in there. But yeah, Listen to the Land on its way, and I've started on Spaceship Earth. Universe of Energy is pretty well along. Unfortunately, none of them are quite ready to go, so I decided to focus on what I really needed as of today. So let's take a look at Communicore East North. First off, we have Epcot Computer Central, which is left as you enter. Just to again make sure everyone knows where we are. That's facing north towards, of course, the big ball. Here's Epcot Computer Central. Here is Travelport, of which we have very few photos. Very, very few photos. It's mainly just photos of Computer Central, where Travelport's in the background. So this area inside of the wooden wall, baffles, whatever you want to call them, I have no idea. I basically took a whole guess. Complete guess. There's supposed to be a cruise ship for, I can't even remember the cruise line at this point, that was partnered with Disney back then. Supposed to be a cruise ship model here somewhere. Haven't modeled that because I have no idea. Nor, a lot of the interactives we're still working on, and it's going to be a while. Again, if you know anyone who knows a little bit of Unreal and wants to do some really simple 1980s style games, I would love to hear from them. Big Red Boat, was it Big? Yeah, Big Red Boat. I can't remember what the actual liner was called though. So let's go to Computer Central. Well, Epcot Finder, make sure you check out Martin Smith's videos rather. He has a gigantic history of Communicore that I strongly recommend you check out. It's incredible. I think it was, I don't know if it was original, but it's so hard because we have so little material. Hard to really figure out exactly when it was from. Speaking of games, again, none of this is really interactive yet. Hoping to get there in the future. We have Computer Coaster. We have Jim Sarno's Smart One. Not current. Actually, it is animated. Cool. I'm glad that was brought over. I honestly forgot to check. So there is Smart One. We have Get Jet Set. And we have the Population. All right, let's hop up, and I'm hoping this area is working. I was getting a little bit of instability, but hopefully we can hop up and check out Backstage Magic. It's hard to tell, Gmail. I have basically no blueprints on anything, so everything is me just completely guessing. I would not at all be surprised if I got the, if I got that wrong. That would not surprise me.
Calculating devices gradually became more sophisticated.
So what we have here, yeah, we do. Jason, I'm sure, is on the way to posting the Discord link right now. So this is the pre-show video of Backstage Magic. Now, a couple things to say about this, hey Bob, is that we actually have the source video that was kindly donated to me, which is great. So I didn't have to obviously recreate this because I couldn't do this type of quality animation. But yeah, this is actually source, which is really cool. We don't have the actual in Computer Central video that we have, but at least we have about 8 minutes, I think, of this, so I wanted to put it in just because with rides not working, it's a little bit of nice content to have. So then this is where the pre-show would not be showing, and you'd see the actual experience. I also decided to save quite a few polygons and just put the painting of what Future World looks like on the back wall instead of actually, just bringing the entire model down to tiny scale and putting it on the back wall, because that saves, a million polygons or so. But yeah, this is pretty much Computer Central. I'm going to kind of point to it, the area right in between those two banks of computers, kind of in the center part of the screen, that's where the quote-unquote light bridge was, where Julie or Early, depending on which version, would walk across. So, Epcot Finder, I thought that we actually found a video of a Studer Computer review like a year or two ago, maybe. I mean, it's obviously very, very low quality, but I think someone actually had a video. I don't know if it was all of it, but it was definitely a big old chunk. Two things I've added pretty recently are the American flag and whatever this thing on the left-hand side is. I have no idea how to even refer to it, but whatever it is, I recently built that. I also added lights under these stairs because it was driving me nuts. There we go. Okay, I was worried the Communicore audio had stopped. Let's head over to Energy Exchange. Again, not really interactive at this point. This is an area where there is so much and it's very hard to get detailed materials, so I need to go back through and do a few more detail works. That moves at least. All right, well, 80% is at least getting there. I'm not entirely sad to go with Backstage Magic instead of the Studer Computer Review. That is certainly not my favorite, Julie, notwithstanding. This took forever. It could probably use also more detail at this point, but this thing absolutely took forever. If you're wondering why it's so low, and if anyone really remembers what this was like, around 1984, someone at Exxon must have come by and said, you know what, this looks kind of low and dumpy, and they basically raised this another 6 feet in the air on giant legs, so it looked a heck of a lot more impressive. But back in 1982, this is what the oil rig actually looked like. One of 2 oil rigs in Epcot, I guess, not counting whatever's actually in Energy Universe of Energy. This entire complex that's surrounded in the black glass, or black plastic, I guess, was actually added at some point, maybe 83, was removed in 83 or 84 and replaced with the kind of curving world map and Antarctica map thing. I still have no idea what's actually in there, but that is period appropriate. We have our exercise bike. Just the other day, I actually made these screens curve. It's such a minor thing, but having the screens actually curve like CRT makes a huge, huge difference. All of the spinners here, I really, really need to add more detail around, especially because a lot of their support posts have a heck of a lot more weird metal chunks that are kind of blasted onto it. Also, fun story is that when I brought the wind turbine in a week or two ago, I didn't have it spin on the correct axis, so it was like kind of folding back in on itself around the long white tube, which didn't look great, and I almost went live with, which would have been a real bummer. Jason, were paper straws even for Epcot opening day? Because I know they were for Animal Kingdom opening, or even preview. All right, let's take a look at Stargate. This is definitely more detailed than it was for the UE4 release. It's still not great, but we're getting there. Certainly some cheap burger prices over here. I haven't actually figured out what the difference is between the Solar Burger and the Grand Solar Burger, but yeah. All right, well, that's most of Communicore East and North. Why don't we take a quick hop over? You know what, we'll come back there later. I think we all want to see Horizons. I also want a 325 Solar Burger, although I try to remind myself that food at Epcot is going to be infinitely better today than it was back then. Jason Weiss, good question. So right now, Unreal Engine 5 doesn't allow for virtual reality. It's because of the new lighting and the new system that actually allows us to get decent performance on this called Nanite. Neither of them are ready to go for VR. However, in the next version, they're specifically looking to have this more scalable for like mobile devices, so you can keep a solid 60 frames pretty much no matter what device you're using, supposedly. So I'm hoping this will really lead to VR. I don't have a VR headset, so that's another bridge we have to cross at some point, but definitely something I would like to have on the horizon. Transition, let's walk forward. Also, I just want to pause here for a second, and for the Unreal Engine 4 version, it was a static image that I used for the skybox. That is not the case anymore. Look at those clouds. It's a good idea, Epcot Finder. I'm kind of trying to do something similar in that when we get to the next version, you will actually get the future choice back, where you can choose, I want opening day horizons, I want under construction Horizons. I want the land on Future World East where Horizons was built, where you can, and it changes in pretty much real time, just so you have a little bit more of that experience. I was really trying to cut it back only to what was there on actual opening day, 1982. So yeah. Yeah, the clouds look amazing, truly great. Also, hey, Mark Holland, as you can imagine, they are related to me. That is Dad, and presumably Mom is right beside him. So, hello from 10,000 miles away. Hey, Video Rewind. Yeah, welcome to Horizons. It's under construction, but hey, you know. Yeah, Brian, it is absolutely. It's September 7th, 1982, is the specific day. But this is roughly more or less what Horizons would have looked like on that day. All right. Yeah, it looks great. Very happy. This what's great is that even if we don't have a lot of photos of stuff that was actually built, we have plenty of photos of what the construction walls look like, because I guess people took photos to say how sad they were for people back home. So I knew exactly what this wall looked like. It was high enough quality, I was able to take this directly from it. Weird aspect ratio and all. Of course, the full version is complete, and while I don't want to spoil anything, um, I'm gonna say that we have plans for this in the future. That's all I'll say. We'll see what happens with it, but there are plans. Oh, I bet, yeah, Jason, I'm not surprised, and yeah, Horizons was always my favorite. That orange smell. This is a little bit of an Easter egg. It's definitely not accurate, but especially when we get into the enhanced version, maybe a little bit later on. This is the original Sherman Brothers theme that I just put into this one little corner before the new Horizons that we actually know and love. I'll shut up for a second so we can hear it. I love this thing. Yeah, so Mission Space, no, although there may be a joke around that coming out at some point. I'm still trying to figure out what April Fool's is going to be next year, so stay tuned on that one. I completely rebuilt the sides of World of Motion because it looked really naff in the UE4 version. I think it is just reflecting the light a heck of a lot better now. Shoal, somehow that's like even more frustrating. It's like, you know, your brain would have been on it and experienced it, but had absolutely no recollection. Isn't that pretty? I can't wait to get the vehicles back moving again so we can actually get on top of the ramp. So trust me, I'm as excited to get everything ready as we can. Huge shout out, just while we're here, to Mike Ryan, who has been doing so much work, unbelievable amounts of work in getting animations for the actual It's Fun to Be Furry ride. So Mike has been a gigantic help, and you know, whenever possible, I try to shout out the people who have really gone above and beyond. Look, Odyssey and World Showcase, neither of which are in perfect shape by any means, but you at least get a little bit of a feel of what those look like. Note that there is no walkway to Odyssey. That was added a little bit later. We will hop over to one spot, then take a look at energy. Thanks, Maker. So Kaito, I don't know if you've tried the various like candles, the candle companies that are Disney themed, but they can do some really cool stuff around that as well. Bob, probably not. That would be a stretch unless I just reach a point where I'm stuck on everything else and I feel I'm gonna build Odyssey today. So probably not gonna build it, but you know, maybe. Exactly. It's such a weird in-between space that it's like it's sort of future world, but also sort of not. So take it or leave it, really. Yeah, Kaito, I've really enjoyed him. So there is one particular thing I do want to show as I talk about shouting at people who have gone insanely above and beyond. Let's toggle our enhanced features, and I hope this works. There we go. First off, you can get into this menu in order to, uh, go in and actually change things like your graphics, the time of day, the weather, and all that. But I really want to shout out, as you'll see in chat today, you have no idea. Did I not add collision? Okay, so we're going to add a card, ironically, that I didn't do this right, Jason, on your own bench. I wanted to have our little shout out here to Jason, who has been unbelievably helpful. I don't know how I could do this project without him. Tester, he's always around. He covered for me when I went to sleep because I was exhausted last night after release. So my little tribute to Jason. Again, thank you all so very much for that. Or sorry, thank you, Jason, for that. Yeah, it's Future World only. I feel World Showcase is kind of still just there. If anything, World Showcase is mostly better than it was. I know people, I won't get into the whole Malmstrom issue, but yeah, I mean, I don't really see a point to do World Showcase. If I was going to do anything, I would build the unbuilt pavilions, like Venezuela and Costa Rica and whatnot. So, big downside here is that we still don't have the background loop. It's still looped from completely missing. Still completely lost for Universe of Energy. So I'm just using the exit theme at this point. The annoying thing here is that I wanted to make this sign brighter when it's actually lit up, but it's basically impossible to do. You kind of can't make red any brighter. I don't know how they did it in real world, because whenever I make it brighter, it just becomes pink, which is annoying. But yeah, that's that. Angle trees are there. They're not perfect by any means. It's kind of a hack, and so I recommend not looking at them too closely. Epcot Finder, I'm not sure what you mean. The Earth Station video we just have from an original recording. Yeah, so this reflection wall mostly works okay. On the angled parts, it doesn't go great. The vertical one, I think it looks quite a bit better. And a little bit of a sneak preview for the future. You can kind of see it. It's a little hard against the wall, but you can actually see the tile wall thanks to Joshua and E82 Legacy for recreating that. And these were added maybe a couple months ago from source images provided by Jim Schull on Twitter, who is an ex-Imagineer who has just done a ton of work and a ton of great materials. Including this sign, which is very cute. All right. Also, of course, let's talk about Monorail. We're hoping to get that working as soon as possible just to get it back. I actually had a very, very kind voice actor who reached out to me on Twitter who recorded it in the style of... I can't remember the Jack... the Disneyland announcer. Jack... it's escaping me, but anyway, he can do a great impression of him, so he has re-recorded my script so you don't have to hear my stupid voice, which I appreciate. Jack Wagner. There you go. Thank you, people who... See, I feel my knowledge of opening day Epcot is replacing everything else I've ever known. Por favor, manténgase alejado de las puertas. Welcome aboard. So on. I'm not doing bathrooms, so I know this is an ongoing joke, but yeah, I'm not doing bathrooms. I'm not that specific. Also, these lights shouldn't be on. I kind of sort of missed that, and I can fix that at a later point. Sorry, Bob. I also don't have the dish in there. I need to put that in. I did make the people mover. It's not in this version because we're having some issues in moving the... Let's try that again. That got weird. Having some issues in moving the actual moving vehicles over to Unreal Engine 5, but I'll have to be there ASAP. So here we have Centorium. The lighting is still a little off. I need to go back in and just make it darker. I actually thought I already had made it darker than this, but... Anyway, starting to fill it in with merchandise. There is... I've actually had folk go in and make really, really great icons for me in the Epcot style. We have some shirts, we have some hats, we have pennants. This area, you can tell where I really tried to put more work in. That's not the accurate guidebook for now, but whatever, it's gonna have to be what we can deal with. Yeah, that's true. I'll probably just have to shift the hue and just balance it out from there. But yeah, we'll get there. And miscellaneous science craft from the 80s. Because what would Centorium be without miscellaneous? Yeah, absolutely. Official album. All in there. What's funny about this project is the things that nobody either notices or cares about takes the longest time. This zigzag wall thing took forever and has gone through so many different variations. And no one's gonna care. No one cares at all. But just this little junction point here, absolute nightmare. I don't honestly have a whole lot up there, but there's our elusive third floor. Nice, Bob. Very cool. Yeah, sadly, no high-end watches and electronics. I'll have to add that later. I actually do have merch. I need to do more of a review. I have a page that's on Threadless. I just definitely need to do an update. My wife will definitely confirm that I mostly just wear Futureport stuff at this point. I'm wearing my bright pink Futureport hoodie right now, which is extremely comfortable and everything, which is nice to have. So this is where the person of the century would be a few years later. I think we haven't gotten 100% confirmation. I think this is where a like satellite model is currently behind glass. We don't, again, have a really good shot of it, so I haven't actually built it out. And the Future Choice Theater didn't open until a month or two later. That's why it is totally blocked off here. All right. Jim, I've built the area where the service elevator is. I haven't actually built that as of yet. I feel that actually could be fun to go up inside, so I may end up building that. Because we have the enhanced version on, I can just go over and you can get some additional bits of detail. These are very much in progress, but I'm adding more, just trying to give more of like a learning experience of everything that's going on in the park as of opening day. So when you have enhanced version on, you're going to see details like this around. And hopefully I can add to these in the future. Again, the focus for this right now was really about getting the core October 1982 exterior experience and then really solving as many of those bugs as we can so we can build for the future. Of course, I hope you're all excited. Didn't everyone love Tron Arcade when it opened? I sure loved Tron Arcade when it opened. It's not like this area just stayed completely empty for 6 years with nothing happening in it. So yeah, sadly, Tron Arcade was never built. This was never really... apparently it had some, I think, Kodak photo competition things in there from what I've heard from CMs who worked there back then. But we have next to no material like what it looked like before Expo Robotics actually opened. Let's head in. What this means is that Communicore West is a disaster. It's not great. You're not going to see a lot here. First off, Tron Arcade didn't open. Looked cool. Would have been great if it did. Oh, hey, Jason, we need to fix this. Doo-doo-doo. That's a shame. Hey, you pay for what you get, I guess. We also don't have... No, Brian, you have to provide your own smell for this. Yeah, exactly, Bob. It was always kind of a mess until Interventions. Yeah, so here's Sunrise Terrace, which is also not open, meaning that basically on opening day, there were bathrooms here, and that's all. Here we have the breezeway, as you can tell, because the lighting is coming from the east. Very different than the other breezeway we walked through. Let's take a look at Futurecom. Yeah, I love how they're replacing Communicore with Communicore, but smaller. totally worth the money. Here's Futurecom with the Fountain of Trash. This thing, not really my favorite, but, you know, I more or less modeled it. It spins, it moves. Let's inflict this song on everyone. Here's the Bell Labs spinner thing. Is Age of Information not working? Aw, that's a bummer. All right, next version, I will make sure that Age of Information is working. That should have triggered right over there. That's a shame. This whole area basically needs a complete rebuild from the ground up. It was a good, I haven't touched it at all since the UE4 version. Definitely needs some work there, but not quite ready. I just wanted to have something there and moving, even if it's not accurate. And apparently the audio doesn't work. Oh, I love the song too, but it will get stuck in your brain for weeks afterwards. Yeah, you should, if you want to inflict it on yourself, definitely go for it. The song is cool, it's just, whew, it is intense. Alright, let's keep on moving. So, not the most interesting way to get into Futureport West, but let's take a look. If you're wondering what isn't here, I think it should be pretty obvious, is that the Living Seas is scheduled to open in 1984, which it definitely didn't hit because they couldn't find a sponsor. So it didn't open until 86. But this is what the sign looked like, because again, oddly, we have materials for that. Yep. Also, it probably wouldn't make a lot of sense for the Seas to already have a fully complete soundtrack, but I didn't want to have to keep using the entrance theme over and over again, so I have bubble music. Yeah, so I would say this is in Unreal, it's a complete rebuild. I had to start completely from scratch in Unreal. The Blender work is all brought over, although even then there are thousands of updates, big and small. This is where we also didn't get Wonders of Life. Originally it was going to go between Land and Living Seas, which, because it's more life-themed, would have made a heck of a lot more sense than it did in the more hard science Futureworld East, but kind of is what it is. Living with the Seas music, see, so much of it is just like screeching dolphin noise. I'd imagine it would just terrify me. Some of it's very nice, some of it is, it hurts my brain quite a lot. Yeah, Kier, definitely looking for VR support in the future. Hopefully Epic can keep working on that, and I gotta break down and just buy a headset at some point. Now we're transitioning into the often completely psychotic Land soundtrack that has some crazy theremin noises within. Here is the Land. Here we have our great mural, thanks to Jason, for Deepwater Studios, yeah, Jason. There are a lot of Jasons involved in the project now that I think about it, who, with some other contributors, actually used AI to combine all of the different photos together, because my original versions to do it were not anywhere near as good, so this looks much better. Yeah, Land soundtrack is all over the shop, it's crazy. I added a little bit of the curve at the base. It's not entirely accurate, but originally this was just a flat wall and it was driving me insane, so I did actually add the accurate curve. Yeah, Jason is great. I really have appreciated his involvement. Sadly, you can see we only vaguely have that built. It's only sketched in. At least in this version, you know, trust me, there is way, way more of the Land done. That's really my next major goal. And that's why it's a little hard to see on this side, but that is the, see if I can see it on this one. Presented by Deepwater Studios, and thanks for the tile work. Symbiosis sign with a misspelling I need to go back and fix that I totally forgot about. So that's fun. Yep, here we are working on the rides. A good deal of them are already in progress. The problem is that I don't do characters. I can't do like audio animatronics. So I'm really looking for outside help for that. If you know anyone who's really motivated and good at character modeling or organics, please drop me a line because I am desperate It's not something I'm ever going to be able to do, so that's where I have to go to the community. 64th, first welcome. Second, this is using Lumen. So Lumen is the actual lighting system along with Nanite. Peter, presumably yes, I think so. But I think it's in there somewhere. The Lumen is what we use for lighting. It has its own ray trace thinger going on that replaces the old pure ray traced or screen space versions. Although I will say for nighttime, it gets much, much slower if you keep Lumen on. So at night, I actually switch to screen space for the illumination method. Last night, and I felt stupid about it, but I actually changed what this sign looked like last night, even though I really shouldn't do that 3 hours before release, but the sign looks less fuzzy than it did last night, which makes me happy. Yeah, definitely agreed. Try the new version. Hopefully it should be a little bit more stable than the UE4 version. The pyramids I have now ripped back and rebuilt and ripped out and rebuilt probably 4 times now. I think it's now getting where I'm much happier about it. We still need to kind of normalize the interior truss to actually make it transparent, because right now it's just opaque, but that will be the next step when I get to really diving into this. I think you may just be able to see, yeah, I haven't really darkened there right now because this version isn't quite ready to go yet, but you can just see the interior. Whole lot more work to do there after I do land. Jason Weiss, Making Memories was there in 1982. It was really the only thing that was open along with ImageWorks. So you had Making Memories in the Magic Eye Theater to see Magic Journeys, and then you had ImageWorks because they were having such difficulty in getting the ride up and going. Here, at least the entrance to the bathroom, so I'm trying to meet you guys halfway. Oh yeah, Bob, it's definitely going to be real easy to see there at night. I'm probably going to try to put in like a blinding white light type thing to really, make it all bounce, and very obvious because it's super lit up at night. So again, for performance, I try not to go crazy with how we are doing the water Niagara modeling. So I know these could certainly look better, but we do have jumping water. I tried to synchronize the sound effects. It was a little bit tricky, so you should get at least a little bit of a splash effect. Oh, and of course, I need to beeline over to my good buddy Spencer's incredible work here. I had no interest in ever doing the bubble fountain. It just, I was never ever going to sit down and actually build it, so he took it on the chin and just put a ton of hours into this, and the bubble fountain I think is looking really fantastic at this point. I could probably improve the texturing. That's not Spencer's fault, that's all on me, but Spencer absolutely crushed on this. It looks fantastic. I was just going to not build anything here, to be honest. So he is the reason why you have something to look at in this space. Plus, look how great that's right between land and spaceship. Really cool. Yeah, Kaitu, definitely. I saw Tom's thread around that, and Tom's also really been a big help when I've had very specific questions. What we discovered is that from one of the photos he posted, in case you didn't see it on Twitter, and it's a little hard to see because of the trees, but we think the entire curtain wall on the exterior of Communicore West South was actually covered in curtains in opening day. I don't even know if it was open for people to be able to walk through because there was nothing for them to do in there. This is the exit at Magic Journeys. I think I also rebuilt this, the truss complex as well. There's our jump in water. Don't look too hard at World Showcase. I did build this out from the UE4 version, but by no means is it perfect. By the way, I also just want to mention that this is on the medium graphics setting, just so I can stream without issue. That's the default version. Yeah, so there's also like an epic version, which will smooth out with anti-aliasing a lot of the shadows, but even on medium mode, I'm really happy with it. Magic Journeys was there on opening day, I'm pretty sure, Bob. From the retro WDW, the whole amazing story of them flying it first class from California. I'm walking weird because I'm also drinking my morning coffee as I walk. Got it. Okay. Well, I'll probably still end up building it, even if we don't have a source of Magic Journeys. And obviously a 3D film is going to look real naff, but it is what it is. Alright. That's right, I forgot about the Dreamfinder run video. Fun times. I'm really excited to get Journey back in. Really, really excited to get Journey back in because it's a great pavilion to walk around. Although, look, I'm gonna be fully honest, I currently have no plans to build the Journey ride. It's just, if I get like a half dozen contributors, maybe I can get into it, but right now the Journey ride, yeah, I just don't think it's gonna be feasible. All right, so thus completes the main part of what I really wanted to talk about today. What I really want to do now is hope that my stream isn't going to crash. And what do we think? Do you want to check out nighttime? Time and weather. Just going to drag this over. Now, what I will say is that because this is all dynamic lighting, actually that happened a whole lot faster than I thought it would. Just yeah, it may take a little bit of time for all of the, lighting to update when you move from day to night. How about that? Kier, stay tuned on Horizons. That's all I want to say. Let's check out night. So performance may be not quite as great as during the day. And yes, I know that you wouldn't see all these lights, but we're not in Lake Buena Vista. We are in Futureport 82. So that's why there's no light pollution. What a great, great galaxy. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So yeah, anyway, performance may be a little bit lesser than during the day, simply because there are literally over 500 lights that are all being calculated dynamically. Unreal's system does that a whole lot better than other systems do, but yeah, it's still a little bit of an impact. All right. Let's do a bit of a walk around at night. Jason, no comment. Wink. Yeah, so we'll kind of see what happens in that whole area. Horizons is my baby. Absolutely my baby. Right? Wouldn't this be great if we just got rid of light pollution? It's like when you go to, because I'm currently living in Sydney, Australia, it's like when you go to the middle of the country in Uluru, in Ulara, and because there's just nothing around you for like 1,000 miles, this is pretty much what the sky looks like, and it's insane. Yeah, the tiles are pretty cool. Let me hop back there, Jason. It's pretty nifty. I've changed them recently over the last couple of weeks, but so there's a pizza place, although maybe now an ex-pizza chain, unfortunately, in the New England area called Papagino's. And back in the 80s, this is what all of their tiles look like, and that's the mood I was really trying to capture. Is just 80s pizza joint tile. Thanks, Downscale. Yeah, you don't mind hitting that like button. I feel dirty even suggesting that, but thank you for that. I would appreciate it. So what is it like building Communicore with photos? Most of what I did for Communicore, honestly, was from Martin's incredible video. Jason, if you do get a moment, do you mind finding Complete Ultimate, Communicore Complete Ultimate? Because I zaprudered that entire film frame by frame to pull whatever I could. Yeah, Horizons is definitely, from Horizons Resurrected, is quite a long ways away. I think one of the issues is that he uses Maya in Unity, whereas I use Blender and Unreal. So we'd have to do a little bit of chat around there, but it's by no means insurmountable. This, specifically, I have a lot of the materials changing at night. So during the day, except for the areas where I secured it up, all of these are more like a brushed steel, whereas here they were actually properly lit up to give that correct effect. Yeah, Martin is unbelievably valuable for this project. I can't even begin. That's why I named the People Mover after him. The least I could do. Good point, Video Rewind. We have a much better rodent mascot. Yeah, so you can see the light is there. You are right, is that I should probably just shift it back to the orange to make it redder at night, but we'll get there. Still some tweaking to do. That was a pretty last-minute change. Yeah, Martin's great. He is the GOAT. I remember when I used to have late-night red-eye flights from Singapore when I could actually travel for work, and when I couldn't sleep in economy, I would just mainline all of his videos at like 4 in the morning over the sea. Yeah, hopefully we're gonna get that loop someday. Would be really nice, but as of yet, no dice. Also, the actual glass changes, and I load in the Communicore interiors. So unlike during the day where it's too dark in there to see, you actually can see Communicore at night. Yep, moving water in the pools. Yeah, it's really hard to do like color correction Gmail for a lot of these because you'll see the 4 different photos and each of them will have a very different value. It's so hard to know kind of which one is accurate. Kier, I mean, look, current Epcot is what it is. I obviously prefer this in every way. What I will say is that when we had our last trip there in October 2019, in spite of everything, it was probably the best trip I'd really had to Disney in quite a number of years. It actually was a great experience. Now, I know the pandemic really changed a lot of that, and I am not a fan of Marvel, to say the least, so that really limits a lot of what the interest I can get, but it's pretty incredible how much fun World Showcase is. We do a thing that I think is novel, but probably isn't, called the Epcot Food Assist, where basically whenever you're moving from one park to another, you transition by way of World Showcase so you can eat there instead of like MGM or Magic Kingdom. So we basically hit up Epcot every day we're in Disney World. Works pretty well. Better than eating an MGM. God, this park's beautiful. Yeah, I just want them to have a core kind of thought about what they're doing, have a set plan. But who knows? Maybe someone will see this and remember what the park used to be. I basically have no plan. Yeah, I only call it MGM. I just, why update, I spend all my time learning new computer systems, not names for things. So this is obviously where guest relations was. I actually had to update the text because between the UE4 and UE5 releases, guest relations moved. But yeah, here we have it. Again, thank you all for joining. I really do appreciate you being here and following along with the project. It really helps to keep me motivated when poor Jason doesn't hear me just screaming and infuriated when Unreal has broken for the 1000th time at 2 in the morning. Also, while she's here, she's leaving out, a shout out to my wife, who also has to put up with me screaming about this stupid system all the time, so I really appreciate that too. Yes, she does confirm I do wear Futureport clothing basically all the time. It is my official uniform right now. Check out Stroller and wheelchair rentals. I did a couple weeks back actually create the wheelchairs. Took forever, but there are Futureport branded wheelchairs in there ready to go. Thanks. I think Magical Trash has given me the thumbs up on the trash cans, so I feel pretty good about that. I also have land-specific ones too. Guys, I'm so happy that I did the poll last night because the audio wasn't looping, so entire area just went mute a few minutes in, and it was infuriating. with the changes I made last night, I think we're good, but oh, look at that. Actually, hang on one second. We're going to do one more thing. We also have color vision correction. It's not super powerful, but if you do have these forms, I'm not going to try to pronounce them. I did try to put CVC in there. Oh yeah, that's the great thing, Video Rewind, is I basically can just take a photo or a screenshot from nearly any angle when I'm posting, and I don't really have to do a whole lot with it. It's pretty cool. We're gonna do something a little, I need to probably fix this, but, because I realize we've actually locked ourselves into the park right now. That's fine, let's turn off show enhanced. Let's take a look at the monorail platform. Give a good overview. Epcot Finder probably not release a video for the 40th. I'm probably going to plan on taking a week or two and just resting because I don't know, probably put like 80 hours just into this over the last week and a half or 2 weeks, and I'm a little tired. I'm a little tired. I think I'm going to take a bit of a break after this one, but we will get there. I have the prompt to activate the intro. Yeah, out of time. That is true. It is totally stolen. So there's a reason why there's no audio in this place. It's because in the enhanced version, also my wife, acting as Julie, has an introduction to the park right against this wall. Interesting. Okay, thanks, Bob. I will mark that and see to move it to the correct level. Good spot. This is mainly why I wanted to come up here. It's such a cool view. Love it. This is a beautiful park. And at least this hasn't really changed at all. This is just in there exactly as it was. Just an incredible view. All right, let's hop on down. Normally when I'm actually testing this around, I have the shift key held down and I'm just absolutely slamming through this at about 500 miles an hour. This one trying to be a whole lot more sedate. Yeah, it's a great view. Honestly, Bob, you know what? I was gonna do that when we get down, but I agree with you. Oh, hey, there's the moon. Hey, moon. Let's trigger the thunderstorm. Maybe I'll just do rain because I don't think you're gonna be able to hear me over the true thunderstorm. But ready? Let's do it. I just want to be clear. I didn't do anything for this time and weather system. This is a pack I purchased, and it's the best money I've ever spent. The work they did, it's called Ultra Dynamic Sky. Absolutely incredible. Love it. Note that the walls actually get like slippery wet. So that means I had to go in and not only add where the rain was going to block, which is why we're not currently getting rained on from above, but also any interior surface as being interior that doesn't have that effect on it. You know, Jason Weiss, that's how I'm going to make my money. I'm going to sell virtual yellow ponchos. That is my monetization scheme. How cool is that? Oh, that's right. I will show the concrete when the rain is done. Jason, I don't know why that works. I don't even remember me doing anything about that, but I'm not complaining. I'm just glad it works. Epcot Finder, yes, I am working on Spaceship Earth. I'd say that's probably only about 25 to 40% complete right now, but the interior of that has begun. Some areas look a heck of a lot better than others. So video, what I can actually do is make a bunch of changes. One of the issues is that I do have a fog effect that I can include. I haven't yet figured out how to keep that from going in the interior areas though. That's why I didn't give that as an option, and I just kind of ran out of time. I can even activate snow if I wanted to, but I'm not so sure I want to do that. I may have that as like a special unlock if you find something. That could be fun. So Brian, good point. I think it may have hailed too. It's a good question. Brian, one thing that I'm looking to do, and I've teased it a little bit before, is I want to create a future world of color. where I'm actually going to have all of these integrated with LED lights, not because it's realistic, but because it will look cool, and things that are cool are cool. And so I have I basically just replaced that black metal in between each of the Aluka bonds with LED blue lighting, which looks really cool and Tron-like. And I can do the same for like World of Motion and Horizons. So as a fun project at some point, I'm going to do Future World of Color. So let's talk about lighting in this spot, because if I look over here, you can't see anything. As of like 3 days ago, everything here at night was probably 4 times brighter than it currently is. And then I really just remembered that at Epcot at night, you can barely even look around. It's so dark, you can barely see anything at that point. So I went through and hacked away as many of the lighting intensities as I could, because I remember just stumbling around at night. It's nearly impossible to see. Thanks, Grace. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Cheers, Gmail. Yep, and the mosaic particularly, Joshua did an amazing job on. I can't wait to bring you guys back into it for real. Yeah, definitely, Maker. Really appreciate it, especially for organics. Like, I'm reasonably decent-ish at any, like core architectural modeling, but anything organic I am lost on. If you know anybody who wants to help, definitely either drop me a line on Twitter or on Discord. We would be super happy to have them. All right. There we go. Now you can hear more of the real audio effect of the yeah, the ground lights, that was definitely not there until about 94, when they tore out everything in the center plaza, which they're also tearing up right now. All right, any other requests at the moment? Or any other questions? Happy to answer anything you got from me. I think that is most of what, all right. We wanted to also see what happens when Again, I don't know why this effect works, but the ground is still wet. Unintended little benefit there. Super happy to have it. It's pretty cool to walk around after the rain passes. So Jason, funny you should bring that up, because I actually have the bench as the world's most subtle Easter egg in the western side of the entrance platform or entrance area, where they sat for the introduction to that interview. I used whatever entrance or whatever source material I could possibly find at this point. I think it just dries out after a few minutes. That must be it, because right now it's looking like it's dry. Futureport 82 has a truly, truly fantastic drainage system. I'll see if I can figure out how to like trigger that longer, but again, I don't know how it happens, so maybe something on the back burner. Let's go this way. Definitely a bug. Don't know why. Or sorry, definitely a feature. Don't know why it happens, but I'll take it. So what I was thinking now, and I'm not sure how great it's going to go, because it means I actually have to go into Unreal proper. So we're going to see if it'll actually work. I think I may want to hop into Unreal, assuming Streamlabs isn't going to crash, and maybe we can do a little bit of a preview of the land, which has a lot of fixes to go, but I think it's a good idea just to see what it's like as of right now, if y'all think that's a good idea too. Let's take a look at the bench and then we'll call it. Or we'll, head into UE5 to see the land. Also true. I do like it hot, so yeah, canonically, let's say it's 1,000 degrees everywhere we go. Yeah, it's not really marble. It's more just like a rough concrete that has red dye or pink dye into it. Yeah, it's post-apocalyptic, exactly. Cool. All right, so just give me one sec. Instead of starting soon, I will. I'm a very professional streamer. I'm not really gone, but you know, back soon. Just give me a sec to take a look. Oh, I hope this works. Unreal and Streamlabs have not worked well in the past, so we'll see if this freaks out. Jason, it kind of feels like old Epcot, and then you see what it actually looked like in '82, and you're like, oh, it's so much worse now. Yeah, video on our last trip in 2019, on our very first night at Epcot, we just got stuck in. We were at the far end of World Showcase, like the around Norway, when at about maybe 9 at night, 8 at night, and it just started absolutely hammering down rain. And you know, we were staying at the Dolphin at that point, so at least we didn't have to make it back through Nay Future World. But it was still like, oh, we're gonna get drenched. So yeah, a lot of weather experience. All right, we're just going to take a few minutes to get Unreal up. It's not the quickest loading system in the world. So if you have questions, do let me know. Generally, the plan I'm hoping for, although these tend to change pretty regularly, is looking to get the land working next. Hopefully with Listen to the Land, although we're going to see exactly how that ends up shaking out. But that's really the next goal. Then on to JII, and then either World of Motion or Universe of Energy. I still need to get Audio Animatronics or World of Motion. I also need to get Dinos for Universe of Energy. So a bit of a toss-up on that one. Excellent, Gmail. How did I deal with scale and distance? You mean for making this up? I basically take a guess, model it. When I realize it's really bad, I then tweak it from there. Yeah, like the few blueprints I have definitely help to kind of set the base, but it's honestly a mess. It's a lot of rework. I think that's kind of why it's taken me almost 2 years since the last UE4 release, because everything is just so painstaking and doing the research. Everything takes forever and it requires a lot of rework. Yep, Jason Weiss definitely doing Spaceship Earth. We are a good way through that. Well, Spaceship Earth, you know, maybe 25, 30, 40% through the core modeling. Bob, we do have narration for Listen to the Land. We actually have one of my admins on the Facebook group was a bride barker back in the 80s. And he has offered to do, largely from memory, which is crazy, the script again. So we can do that. Sorry, I think I missed one. Horizons ride, stay tuned on that, Mike. TBD, we'll see how that shakes out. There is a Discord server. We can paste the link to that in a little bit. And yeah, it's definitely picking up in busyness a little bit now. I have talked to Mike Brister, the creator of Journey Back into Imagination. He was very helpful in providing materials early on, but he is very, very busy. I think he works for Universal Creative now. And because they were getting Universal Beijing up and running, he was a little on the busy side. I haven't touched base with him for a while. Thanks, Jason. Dupree. Unreal still loading. This is on my SSD too. It just takes its sweet time. %, loading, loading, loading. We'll see how Unreal does with Streamlabs. They're not always great partners. Yeah, I'd say Journey Back into Imagination is probably pretty defunct. Mike, nope, and I hope that's going to stay that way. I am totally fine with not getting any messages from Disney. Not super looking forward to getting any sort of cease and desist, so I'm happy with no news being good news. Oh man, I'm not used to running Unreal at 1080p. Oh, this is gonna look pretty weird. We'll see how this goes. I think this may look a little bit weird, but hey, because I usually run in 4K. I moved it to 1080p just for this stream, and Unreal is not adapting super great. Bob, were they? That's good, just because I don't know. That's why I haven't monetized a single thing with this yet, just because I don't want to run into any issues. Okay, so the interface is looking real bad because of the zooming, presumably, but we'll see what we can do with this. Whoops. This is not how I usually create inside of Unreal. That'll work. Okay, so this is lights off. That's why it doesn't look very good. Don't think that I basically just stripped away everything that's cool. This is how I tend to do a lot of my work. So let's do, shouldn't have turned that off. Do. Okay, we'll see how this goes. Hopefully Streamlabs won't completely freak out at this point. If it does, I'll probably just end the stream here. So thank you all for joining. It looks like it's working for right now. Fingers crossed it will maintain. All right, welcome to the land. Now, I want to stress that this is work in progress. This is why it's not included. Sadly, for all of you, I decided to take a last minute 10-night cruise instead of hunkering down and working like I should have. But, you know, who would say no to a 10-night tropical cruise? Is pretty cool. So, with that said, let's take a look at what I do have before I get into bug squashing mode again. I'm not running this. That's why the umbrellas aren't moving. Good turn isn't going to be looking great, but those do actually work when I properly run it. Actually, we can probably turn that off too. There we go. That's a little bit more like it. Is everyone able to see land okay? Hopefully it's looking all right. Yeah, exactly. Take that cruise. When you have a chance, you take your shot. So yeah, hopefully you're able to see this okay and it's looking pretty all right. It's hard to tell when I'm moving. Good, good, good. So glad to hear. Yeah, so this is the land. I was never happy with how this looked in UE4. Yeah, exactly, Bob. So I'm much happy with how the lighting really looks in here. I just think it's so much better than how it was. You can really see the lighting right through. You have those great reflections. This is exactly what the photos look like. The Walt Paraguay ceiling I created painstakingly, painstakingly over the course of a week or two. And look, I'm not an artist. I've always made that very, very clear. So undoubtedly, I've lost a lot of great work that Walt did and everyone who was helping him, but it still looks pretty great. And they painted all over this with green. Not casting aspersions, but they replaced all of this with flat green, which is a choice. I will have to give them that. Not the choice I would have gone with. All right. These we need to do a lot of work on. This is very much a placeholder wallpaper. It's way better in real life. I don't have the chops to build it properly, nor do we really have the material for it. All right. Here we have the little weird waiting areas, I guess, for the restaurant. Here is Good Turn. I don't really have a lot of lighting in here yet, but also, yeah, because I don't have the moving part in here, this is kind of a weird mashup of melted. That's not how it's actually going to look. It looks a whole lot better. Let's go take a look at everyone's favorite. Wall carpet. Speaking of painstaking recreation, and speaking of the shop from before, we have you know, I not only recreated this from scratch, I also do have a shirt around here that I also wear pretty regularly with this design on it from what I recreated. Definitely one of my favorites. It is a cool looking wall, right? And so the effect is not perfect. It's not as 3D as I would like, but you know, I feel we did a decent-ish job with the effect. I would optimally love to have the black parts in between be lower relief, but oh boy, is that going to be a lot of work. So I feel for right now. That looks good, right? I think it looks pretty good. It feels fuzzy, and that's what's important. I don't think I have lights on at Harvest Theater, so my guess, oh yeah, I only have part of it loaded right now, as you can probably pretty obviously see, but Harvest Theater will be back. Yeah, I also got a third-party carpet modeler, and I feel it works pretty cool. Just rebuilt these, again, very important things. Rebuilt these a few weeks ago because the turnstiles are driving me nuts. Also rebuilt the Harvest Theater sign, although, yep, okay, no, that's good. Yep, rebuilt the Harvest Theater sign. That's a whole lot more accurate than the old UE4 version. And rebuilt this because it was looking like garbage. Much better now. I know, computer, it's a lot to get through. My computer is screaming in the background as we speak. Let's head down. So, of course, the big addition is 1/4 of Jim Sarno's fountain. Don't look too closely because I've actually just built only 2 of these 4 parts and then just repeated it. Each of these takes absolutely forever to do, and I just haven't been super motivated to go back and kind of build it. But as long as you don't look too close, it kind of gets the point across. Yeah, land logo, very cool. I'm really trying to add a lot of things like this, just the random crap that would be scattered around. So that's why, apart from the magical trash cans, just trying to add more things like napkin dispensers, trays, these little counter things. Farmers Market, to be perfectly honest, it was that and Stargate were the 2 worst parts of the original UE4 model. And so that's a big reason why it's going to take at least a couple more weeks, if not months, just to work through the Farmers Market. You can see there are some areas I've done a bit of a glow up on. Cheese shop in particular, I tried to spend a good deal of time. I think this is now looking more or less okay. I should say that I'm actually reaching out to the original creator of the signs, the Imagineer, and just see if she has any of the original materials. So that's a little bit TBD. We are working on just making sure the signs are as accurate as they can be and actually 3D. But yeah, I mean, we have some pretty decent. There's our Papagino's tile again. We have some decent-ish detail in here compared to, say, this, where I haven't really done anything. So that still has some work to go. We have a long way to go around a lot of this. We're doing what we can. Here's another one, the barbecue. We are working on improving. I think actually no, this is one I've done, so that's pretty much good. Also, don't look too close that this is from Food and Wine from like 2020. Good enough placeholder for now. Because, the 4 pixels that were dedicated to that menu in the source photo I have don't do a real great job of indicating what that was. I created this a few weeks back. It's just like there are like 100 detail bits like this I need to add in, and it's just taking forever. So that's why land is a little delayed currently. I also rebuilt the awnings recently because they look less terrible now. All of these, definitely a long way to go. No worries, Chris. Hey, Chris, you got there right in time to see your signs. So shout out to Chris for creating, I don't know if it was both of these, one of these, several of these, but he was the original creator, and I'm deeply appreciative of that. Dizwire on Twitter created the wheat mural in the background behind the Kraft cheese cart. And the bathrooms, that I believe Tom Morris was in charge of designing. So some more work to do there. This is where the Broccoli and Company store opened when people realized that people wanted kitchen cabaret merchandise in this kind of weird nebulous area, but it wasn't open on day 1. Thanks, Grayson. Appreciate it. Thanks for joining. Here we have Kitchen Cabaret. How Bowers did an unbelievably good job in recording this in like the last week that it was up. And so some of these were in, some of this wasn't exactly how it appeared in 82, but I chose detail over not. So, whoops, I can get pretty in there when it comes to the details when I actually have source material for it. The posters are doing okay, largely pulled directly from Howe's work. I have a lot of work to do in this area, like a lot of work. So expect a lot of missing textures. There's a ton of optimization I need to do in this space. And then the actual theater itself, I have the base of the theater built, but I don't have the marquee. A lot of work to go in there, but hey, there's our sign. Looks beautiful. Yeah, we're definitely getting there. Someone posted a photo of their family member in front of the stage entrance door, so I actually have much better detail that I can build out to make that look better. Yeah, this was several weeks just being in this area. Just took forever to do this because I wanted to get as much detail as I could. Damn, I keep going too far. But yeah, each and every one of the little tiles is modeled. This mural has next to no original source material. It was a miracle that I even managed to find this, and I tried to upscale it using machine learning a little bit. Still doesn't look amazing or perfect, but compared to the blank wall that I used to have, it is a dramatic improvement. Just look at this work. I can't believe everyone and their brother doesn't have 1,000 photos of this mural. It's gorgeous, and there's basically no source material of it. Truly incredible. Some of the best work that just completely flies under the radar. This project can make people remember things like that and Sarno's fountain. It'll be worth all the time. But I think I know why y'all are still sticking around. You want to see where plants are going to be. That is true. It was always blocked by boats, but still, like even with that, you get these little glimpses. It's a cool view you have there. Let's take a look at where some plants are going to be. Hopefully this is going to load properly. So this area over here, also by Walt Paraguay, is another total design nightmare. It's complete Symphony of the Seed, completely undetailed right now. We're working on it. I'm talking with some folks who may be able to help me out with it. Like I said, organic modeling and murals are not my forte, so we have some work to do, but hopefully that will be ongoing. I don't even know if this was where Walt wanted this concept art to be, but I have nothing else to put here, so that's where it lives for now. Let's take a look at the more tropical. I also hacked the intensity here. It may be a little bit too dark, but I'm actually pretty much okay with that. And of course, there's good turn right up above. It's looking okay. I'm not completely in love with it. I could definitely do another round. I also need to add a gator from somewhere. But yeah, we're getting there. Then for a very different biome, we have the desert. Thank God for Quixel. Quixel was able to provide a lot of these materials, like the rocks, like the ground textures, which I am just borrowing from heavily, heavily. So yeah, they have done some great work with these 3D models, really made my life so much easier. Not bad. This I was just working on last Saturday, I think. I need to find some buffalo, but again, gradually getting there. And I also hacked away the intensity of this. This will be brighter in the final version. There is the farmhouse. I also need to work on actually modeling the room upstairs, you can see from the good turn, because I feel that's something that, yeah, we also will need the prairie dogs video. Um, yeah, so, we will be able to see the room inside, which would be nice. Speaking of way too dark, assuming I don't get lost in here because it's totally off, the farmhouse I need to completely redesign. Ton of work I need to do there. Still TBD. Yeah, the Buffalo 3D models are unbelievably expensive. Like the cheapest one I found was 100 US, and for a single or two throwaway Buffalo, not super excited. I don't know why this is happening. I don't know where this wall came from. So that's a little weird, but that's my problem. And we don't have any plants yet, but here we finally emerge out into the light. Oh, I think that's the background. Yeah, those are the background trees. That would make sense. I can get rid of that pretty easily. This is where we get to the rice cultivation. This is the general tropical dome. Again, a little too dark right now, but I tried to add what detail I could against the far walls just to make that feel a little bit more realistic. Ways to go. I thought I actually improved this. Thought I went back and did another run. Maybe not. And aquaculture. Red as hell. I probably should put some background music on while we're just doing this, but you just get to hear my voice. Although, you know what? I can, no, that's fine. So, yeah, and then we get into the long greenhouse. I definitely tried to spend a fair bit of time to just add details for what the roof looked like, for the floor boxes. I need to go back and just update the sand because that's not super detailed, and Quixel has better versions of that. But gradually adding a whole lot of detail in this area. The problem is that I'm really going to have to make sure I turn each of these rooms off because each of them are going to have so many bits of foliage, it's going to absolutely tank frame rate. So there's a lot of optimization that I need to do here. We're getting there, bit by bit. Exactly, we are pre-living at this point. And these will all be theoretically moving at some point in the future with little buds in each of the hanging bits. I should also repost the photo because Dad has resurrected, at least in concept, my hydroponics project I made from 8th grade in their greenhouse up in freezing Boston, Massachusetts, and actually is working pretty well. So hydroponics for like things, lettuce and small things like that actually can work pretty well. It's very cool to see. Saw that on my trip back in May. Yeah, adding plants to all this is going to be a gigantic pain in my ass. But speaking transition of pains in the ass, nothing is as big of a pain in the ass as this black wall, because this is where Paraguay went absolutely ham. He went insane with detail. I've posted photos of this to Twitter over the last couple of weeks. The whole area gives me a total panic attack because Paraguay went nuts. I can't even describe it. It's like all the complex bits of Journey into Imagination in this small 30-foot span. Insane. This is where the USDA section is, Chris. I don't think there was any NASA material until the late 80s, but this is at least in, and actually, there should be a whole bunch of other stuff here that isn't appearing for some reason. So I need to add that back in. But yeah, basically, this is the USDA area and trying to add detail. I doubt I'm going to be able to make much impact on all of the Paraguay stuff against the left wall, so I really just may have to pretend it was only the right wall at opening. And then we are out, and as Bob pointed out when he was testing, I did in fact add wheelchairs at the exit for a nice little realistic touch. Whenever I get source material, I can actually do some cool stuff. Well, folks, I think that's pretty much what I wanted to go through today. So thank you all so much for joining me. Again, I cannot thank the contributors, the testers, everyone who has been involved in this project. I cannot thank you enough. I could not do it without you. And everyone who is downloading, who's watching, who joined here today. Thank you all so much. Thanks for the sub, CEC. I do quite appreciate that. You can follow me on Twitter and Facebook. I update pretty regularly, although, as I said, I'm going to be taking a little bit of a break for the next couple of weeks. At least I say I will. And yeah, much more to come. We have a ton more to do in the project, and this is just the beginning. Welcome to the 21st century.